Good morning everybody, it's time for another reel video, and today we're going to talk about early mark making or early writing. And lots of people think it's not that important in the early years, it doesn't look like writing, doesn't mean anything, but actually all those early marks are really important as a way of showing you as an adult that they're communicating using writing. So first of all, I want to talk about the opportunities for early writing. So you need a couple of things. You need something to write with, you need something to write on, and you need a reason to write. Examples might be notebooks or cards, birthday cards, greetings cards, notelets, shopping lists, any reason to write. It can be paper, but it could be writing on the floor with a muddy stick, or it could be writing in the flour on the worktop, or on the side of the bath with a soapy finger. All those are early mark making and early writing opportunities. So really they need a reason to write. And there are loads of different things you can try. We like sparkly pens in nursery because they feel so special. And we also like using paper that's different colours and different shapes. What we found with the boys in particular was when we cut out shapes of tools like saws and spanners and screwdrivers, the boys were much more likely to write their name on those than they were on a blank piece of paper. And also a large piece of paper can be quite intimidating if a child feels that they have to fill that space with words and letters and sentences. So it can be a scrap of paper, it can be an old paper bag, it can be anything at all. Moving on to recognition, so recognition of writing. Early writing doesn't look like writing how you imagine it to. I'm going to show you some examples. This is early writing. That's been done quite purposefully. So a child has taken a pencil and those marks are meaningful to that child. When a child does that in nursery, they tell us what they've written, we usually make a note. And as time goes on, a child's writing develops into this kind of thing. This child is obviously getting familiar with the letters. They're probably doing some phase 2 phonics like we do in nursery. And they've got an idea about what they want to write. And as a child becomes more familiar with writing and the fine detail and skill of writing, their purposeful writing becomes much more ordered, and they're using their phonics to make an approximation of what they want to write. They don't necessarily know how to spell, they don't necessarily know how to write words, but they're getting there. You've probably seen your child do this kind of thing. I'd hold it that way. And a child is writing lots and lots of words. To a child, they've been really busy and they've done some fantastic writing there. Similar here. This child doesn't really understand letter formation, but they've started making shapes. So they do understand what the letters are for and what they mean. So don't disregard any early writing. These children are having a go and it means something very important to them. I would urge you to have a look at the writing jigsaw. I sent this in the pack some time ago, and I think you'll be amazed when you start colouring in this jigsaw the writing that your child does. For example, does your child choose pens and paper to play with? Do they make marks on paper? Do they make circles? Do they look at their writing and say, look at me, I'm writing? It's really viable to recognise that those opportunities are being used and the child is actually making something which they believe to be writing. I'd always say, oh, look at your amazing writing. You've tried so hard. I can read this. This is fantastic. And a child is quite often, they want to tell you what they've written. So reiterate it back to them. You've written a list? That's fantastic. Have you remembered to put cheese on there? And the child will feel even more enthusiastic about writing again and again. So the jigsaw puzzle looks quite intimidating, but I think you'll be amazed at what your child can already do. So try colouring those in just for your own satisfaction. The next one to think about is interaction. How can you interact with your child to bring on their early mark making and their early writing? Well, get involved with them. Encourage them to join you in some writing that you are doing. Make those really positive interactions through play. So as an adult, you might write birthday cards, greeting cards. Involve that child in that process. Say, why don't you help me? And get them involved when you're writing letters, when you're writing shopping lists or reminders on the calendar, if you're writing a note to stick on the fridge, or just a note to daddy or grandma to say, love you, see you soon. Involve your child in that writing opportunity. Make it a really positive interaction. Write a list together. When you're doing the shopping list, make that list together. Give them an opportunity to do some early mark making. Say, Frankie, do you think you could just write eggs on there? Even if it doesn't look like the word eggs. Give them a chance and say, wow, now I know I need eggs because you've written it on my list. That's fantastic. So make sure it's a really positive interaction. With whatever you're doing, involve your child, and they will learn to appreciate the value and the importance of early writing in everyday life. And the last one is to be a model. You have the most important job of all because you are your child's first role model. So make sure you're doing lots of writing, not just tapping on a phone or using electronics, but using a pencil or a pen, even painting or mark making with different things, so the child can appreciate how important it is. Explain why you're writing, what you're writing, and show them. Take your time, show them how careful you are with your writing and how important it is to you, because you are their most important role model. So that's a really quick summary of early writing. You may think that your child isn't making any progress, but they are. They really are. Because when they started, they were just doing that, or they were just doing that. And now they're started to appreciate how important it is, and they're making purposeful marks with their pen or their pencil or their paintbrush, and they can tell you what they're writing. That dialogue and that conversation is really, really important, so they understand the value of what they're doing, and it will encourage them even more to do a lot of early writing, and they're getting ready to be creative writers in the future. So encourage, 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 and be that fantastic role model that I know you are at home. Enjoy it, and I think there's one more video to go. See you soon.